Hey guys, it's LJ here. I just thought I'd bring you on today because I'm going to have my first attempt at making a resin beach thing. So I've got some shells and things that I collected. Sorry about this shadow. It's December, the lighting is awful no matter what time of day. So I collected these shells last time we were in Ireland, and so I'm going to use some of those. I don't have any sand, but I have got I've got 3 mica powders in copper, brown and yellow, which I'm going to make a combination of to make the sand. I've also got one of my inks. It doesn't give me an actual colour name, it just gives me the number. I've then got a couple of glitters or some micro beads to try and give it some texture, because I haven't got actual sand. I've got some white opaque pigment from Resin 8, which is designed to do cells and lacing, so that'll be good. And then I've got 4 mica powders. I've got 3 inks ranging from green to blue. And then I've got 2 of my pigments from Sophie and Toffee, the green and the blue. And then I've just got some pots to separate it. So I'm heating my resin. I'm going to put it all on fast forward now, and I'll see you at the end. Enjoy! Hey guys, so I'm going to mix up my resin now. I do apologise, I'm trying to sort the light out. It was a really horrible grey December day. So the ceiling lights were causing the shadow of the arm on the camera, and I used my torch to try and check for bubbles and striations. So I've mixed my resin up. I'm now going to pour it into my smaller cups so that I can create the colours. So 1 for the beach and then 3 for the water. So I'm just dividing it between the cups as to what I would think, scraping out as much as I can because, you know, resin is expensive. I always try and get everything out. So I'm going to save a tiny bit at the end just in case I need some clear. So starting with the water, I'm going to use my inks. So I've got a darker blue and a green. And I think I've got a light blue as well. Oh no, I've got 2 greens. That's what I've got. I've got 2 greens, a light blue, 2 greens and dark blue. So I've got the green on its own, which came to a lovely colour. Quite pale, but, you know, it's nice greeny sea green. Then I mixed blue and green together in an attempt to get a sort of midway point. And it started out looking okay, bit of a darker green, and then I've got the nice dark blue. So they worked really well together. What I then did was decided to darken the blue and the blue-green. Darken the blue, it started to go a bit purpley, which I thought was very odd because it's exactly the same colour that it was before, but it's gone purple. So I added a bit of my Sophie and Toffee blue to it. And then I went, do you know what? Forget this. I'm going to add some mica powders because that is not a nice colour. Even with the mica powder in, you can see there is a hint of purple. I don't really understand how blue ink plus the same blue ink turned to purple, but it did. So then I've got the blue and the green, which just went this awful muddy brown colour. Oh, it was awful. So I sort of gave up on that one as well. You can see the brown there, and I just shoved some mica powder in there because, do you know what? I need to salvage this, and I'd brought the micas out on purpose, just in case. So I added green mica to the green ink, and that went quite a nice sort of pale colour. I then added some light blue to the blue-green, which turned brown. Thankfully the mica managed to cover that. And then I added some darker blue mica to the dark blue. And then I just added a little bit of a turquoise to the light blue and the green, just to try and get some nice variation of colours in this sea. At this point I'm already feeling a little bit defeated because I did really want translucent water. You know, I wanted the opaque sand and the translucent water. For some reason, despite knowing that I wanted it opaque, I put the ink in as well. But, you know, that's just me. So, yeah, so I mixed up the orangey yellow ink and 2 mica powders there. I think yellow and bronze. No, copper and bronze I used. And then I've just poured out some different shaped beaches. So I wanted to try and do a slightly different shape on each one just to make them even more unique. Then starting with the darkest blue, which goes at the top, I poured some dark blue into each mould up at the top to be sort of like the deep sea that's quite far away, trying to vaguely keep the same sort of shape as the beach so it does look a bit more natural. Then I did the middle colour next to that, which is the sort of lighter blue. Poured far too much into the round mould, so I'd run out by the time I got to the rectangle. This is what happens when you work on too many projects at once, Laura. So there's that, and then the sort of greeny turquoisey blue, which isn't as green as I'd hoped, but you know what, it covered the horrible colours, down at the bottom. Now, the circle and the oval seem alright at this point, but as you can see with the rectangle, I've got quite a, sorry for my head, quite a gap. So that little bit of clear that I saved at the beginning, thank goodness I did that, what I've done with that is just poured that into the gap. There's a little gap on the other two, but there's a big gap on the rectangle one. So I've poured that in, and then what I'm going to do in a second is just sort of try and fiddle it around a little bit with the stick. I'm then going to take each piece, and I'll take my gloves off. I should have put new gloves on, but I didn't because I'm very naughty. Give it all a quick burst with the torch, and then I'm just going to sort of move it around a bit so that the colours touch and mix. Didn't have as much success with the rectangle, so I did take each one off to the side to use my heat gun. Apologies, this heat gun doesn't have a long enough cable. So that's what I'm doing. I'm off just heating it up slightly in order to help the colours sort of flow a bit more. So those, as you can see now, they're touching, and when I move it, the colours are flowing much easier. So, because I've done it with that one, it worked so well. I popped the oval and the circle over to the side just to do the same with them. So basically I've just blasted it with the heat gun. I'm not trying to move the resin, I'm literally just trying to warm it up enough that I can sort of move the mould backwards and forwards on my hands, and the resin will move with it. Just give it a bit more of a natural flow. Because as much as you try and pour something naturally, once it actually moves, it looks a bit more, in my opinion, a bit more natural. So now I'm just adding my micro marbles to the beach. This I should have waited. I should not have done this straight away because those ones really just sank to the bottom and you didn't even notice them by the time it had cured. But there you go. The second thing I probably should have waited to do is add these shells. Now we got these shells in Ireland, where the family comes from. There is some incredible beaches in Ireland. And actually there's a little island called Omey Island, which is just off the coast where we are in Galway, which has very small, like 5 houses or something ridiculous on it, and if the tide's in, you're stuck there overnight type situation. But this is where we collected these shells, ones that had washed up. So I've got those, which is a really nice touch of home, especially seeing as these are 4 members of the family. So that's them done. So overnight, come in the next day, I'm going to just start doing my waves. So to do the waves, I need a layer of clear, and then I need the white opaque to make the waves. Now this is where things started getting really, really bad. First time I'd made a beach scene, first time I'd used this opaque pigment, and everyone says a little bit goes a long way. So I thought I would use a little bit. So I've mixed up here a layer of clear, just giving that a good mix. I'm then going to pour some of it into a smaller... No, I'm not. I apologise, that is not what I'm doing at all. I'm going to pour a layer on to the water. So, blasted that off a bit. So I'm pouring a layer onto the water to try and make the waves. So I've poured a line on, turn that around so that I can see what I'm doing. And I thought, I'll just use a little bit. That's not a lot of pigment in my opinion. To me, that is a little bit dripping off the end of my silicone brush. Yeah. I mean, you can see it already spreading and expanding in the rectangle, now in all of them. Yeah. So I gave it a mix, and I mean, yeah, I should not have lifted that. You can see the drip. Looking back on it now, I possibly could have rescued it at the time, but I'll be honest with you, at this point I went into panic mode. So I've poured more clear on. I thought I'd try and mix it in, but then rather than having a white wave, it just went to white resin because I've just mixed neat pigment in with clear resin. So yeah, I'm desperately trying to make it look vaguely wavy. But I'm freaking out right now. Absolutely freaking out right now. So, start by scraping it off. That's the logical thing to do, right? Yeah, scrape. I mean, I can see this is going to go well. I mean, thankfully that I'm doing a voiceover for this because there was a lot of language during this time. I was in a panic. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to save it. I thought I'd ruined everything. I was annoyed that I'd poured this resin out and wasted it effectively. I was thinking I'd wasted the pigment. I'd ruined all 3 of my scenes. Note to self, when doing something for the first time, just do 1. So yeah. Major panic right now. I'm thinking scraping it out hasn't worked. What else can I do? I know what I'll do. I'll get some tissue and I'll wipe it off. That'll really help. I mean, you can see it's not helping in the slightest. It's just making a pig's ear of it. Yeah, I was devastated at this point. I'll be completely honest with you. So much so that the other half appeared because I was screaming and shouting so much. Came down to check that I was okay. So yeah. So I've wiped off as much of it as I can, really. Yeah. It's starting to look a bit better. At least you can see the water again now. But yeah. So I left a few little bits down at the front, and actually I think had I left it exactly as it is right now, it would have been okay. But it's me. I can't leave things alone. Yeah, I wish I'd left it here. That's all I'm going to say. But I added another layer of clear, and then I tried to blow again to get some cells and lacing with the white. While it's got a lot less white on it. What I then did was just keep working it and working it and working it. Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure how I thought I was going to do the waves while I'm tilting it backwards, seeing as the waves I wanted going towards the sand. But, you know, I don't understand how my brain works half the time, so who knows what I was trying to achieve here. Yeah, so I ended up just completely wiping all of the white off the rectangle because it was a bit of a disaster, really. Yeah. Took some more off of the oval, but the rectangle I've completely wiped. I don't think I completely wiped the oval. No, apparently I did. So, yeah, I wasn't happy with it either. I genuinely think had I left it alone after the first lot of wiping, it would have looked okay when I came to put the next layer on. But that's with hindsight, having also made 4 or 5 more of these since. So, you know, you live, you learn. Hindsight is great. But there we go. So, after my first attempt at waves, this is how they were left looking. And yeah, it's not great. I'll be honest with you, it's not great. Yeah, I kind of want to apologise because it just is so bad. But at least you can learn from my mistakes. Don't do what I do. So, as you can see, I've mixed up another batch of clear because I thought, let's give this another go. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Blessy. So I've mixed up another batch of clear. I have then pulled off a little bit more of the white of the oval. Now I'm clearing the circle as well now, apparently. So pouring another little bit of clear on each. Popping the bubbles. I'm then going to use a toothpick and do a very thin line of white on each. It's better, right? Okay. A lot less pigment, not tons dripping off the edge of my brush, just a little bit on a toothpick, which worked a lot better. I mean, this stuff is incredible, but a little bit goes a long way. So I poured another layer of clear just behind to do a secondary layer of waves, which again, should not have done right now. That should have been a second pour. But again, hindsight, you live, you learn. So I'm just trying to make a secondary wave here. But this is, despite it still looking not how I wanted, this definitely much more successful than the first attempt. So if doing it this way, it works. Hey guys, I am back. It is the next day. Unfortunately, it's still horrible, so I have ceiling lights on. I'm really sorry about this shadow. Yeah. So these are where we're at the moment. So we've got the first layer of waves on with the white on top of our base coloured layer. What I am going to do today is trying to get that one out of, let's put it over the side, out of the shadow. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to pour up a layer of clear to cover the entire thing. And I'm going to do some very fine, because as you will have seen, there is definitely, like, you only need a tiny bit of this. This stuff is incredible, but a little goes a long way. So that's what I'm going to do today. It is just going to be a very thin clear layer to cover all of it. I'm going to add a few more of these micro beads to give the sand some more texture, and then I may do a little bit more of the white. I might leave it as a totally blank clear top layer. So I'm going to put my gloves and everything else on again, mix up my resin, and then I'll put it all on fast forward for you to see. See you in a bit. So I'm just going to pop my gloves on and attempt to do this second layer. So we are mixing up the resin again. I love these silicone cups. They are so easy to clean out. And I just use a metal spoon that's got a flat end on it, which I find works really well for scraping the sides and the base. I do have some silicone spatulas for when I'm using a bigger quantity in a bigger pot. For these little pots, this spoon works absolutely brilliantly, and once the resin has cured on it, it just pops off, which is really good. So another reusable, good for the environment thing. So we're going to mix this up, and we're going to attempt to do another layer with some waves on. So I've learnt from my mistakes at this point, because there have been several. And can I just point out, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm wearing a penguin Christmas jumper because yay, penguins. So I've mixed that up, used my head torch just to check for striations and bubbles in the pot, which is why you've got that glare, I apologise. So, going to wipe off the bigger chunks off my spoon, then leave it, and I'll pop off the resin when it's cured. So, we're going to start. We are going to pour some clear all over these, because I want to do a layer over the whole thing. Very thin layer, but a layer over the whole thing. So scraping out everything that's in the pot, because you know what, resin's expensive and I want to use all of it. So I have done that. I'm just going to tip it round so that it is covering at the very least all of the water, but I know that for some, I think definitely the oval and maybe the circle, it definitely covers some of the beach as well. There you go, you can see. I'm just getting it around those first shells. So then the rectangle one the same, I'm just pouring it so that this clear layer covers the water areas. So giving that just a bit of a tilt so that it covers it all, so there's no gaps. as resin is self-leveling, it will level itself out for you as long as you put it where you want it to go. So again, I've just taken that over to give it a bit of a blast with the heat gun because it wasn't spreading as much. Added some more clear because I wanted a bit of a deeper layer. So make sure that is going where I want it to go. Apologies if you can hear my cat eating in the background. Their biscuit tower is next to my PC where I'm doing my voiceover. So now we're going to attempt to do some more waves. So again, I've got my cocktail stick and I'm doing a very tiny bit, one dip for the circle and the oval and one more dip for the rectangle, and that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not adding any more than that. I'm going to take it over and I'm going to give it a blast with the heat gun. Now my heat gun currently doesn't stretch to this table, so when the extension lead is available, like it was previously, you can I can make it reach the table, but it wasn't available on this day, so I'm just taking them off to the side, giving it a bit of a blast with the heat gun to spread out that white. So I'm going to put a last little layer of clear after I've done the white on the beach and add some more of the micro marbles just to add some texture, as I don't really have any sand yet. So yeah, we are all done for now, and give those just a mix into that clear so they stick and sorted. Hey guys, I am back. It is the next day and I am ready to take a final look at these. I'm hoping now, having done the coat over the top, that it'll be a nice smooth finish just with the shell sticking out, and I'm really excited to see the white. When I finally stopped last night because I kept coming back to pop bubbles and do a few bits and pieces. Oh, hello, Squdge. Down you get. Come on. Good girl. They don't come in here normally. When I'm doing resin, it's because I've got the door open. So, yeah, when I finally left them, I was very excited, but I am, I'm really excited now. So I'm going to take these off. What shall we start with? I'm going to start with this rectangle, I think. In fact, no, I'm going to start with this end. And I had hydrangea in here, and I had the last bits of resin. That I wanted to use up, so I used them in here to cover my hydrangea. And this mould, okay, this mould is stuck, but I didn't use the heat gun. I used the heat gun, I didn't use the blowtorch. Very odd, but that is really pretty actually. I really like that. I really like that one. Got a couple of quite big bubbles, but I think that adds to the look. Awesome. So I've got that one, and then I didn't pop this one out on screen, but this is the other one that I did with this. And then the as you saw, the huge amount of white that I had, because yeah, I put far too much. Definitely a little goes a long way. I mean, a tiny bit goes forever. So all the extra white, you can see how much extra white I had, I put on the bottom of this one. So I've got those two little bits there. So I'm going to start here. And now this one I wasn't sure about, so I tried to do each one of the three slightly differently. So I mean, I don't know if you saw, if we go back to the beginning, my plan was to use the inks to make it sort of translucent, the water. So I was going to have the opaque sand, then the translucency of the water, which I thought was going to be really nice. But unfortunately, when I mixed the blue and the green dye, blue and green dye together, it went a sort of browny purple. It was awful. So I ended up just doing the blues. I just filled them up with mica powder. So it's not translucent, unfortunately, which is what I was aiming for. But, you know, it's the first time I've done a beach thing, so I'm still quite proud of it. So with this one, once it had started to cure, it got quite sticky, I took my lollipop stick, and you can probably just see I literally just went through the blue like that, as if it was sort of a wave or an undercurrent. So that one has got this, you know, yeah, you can see it. You can see the sort of the lines as it goes round where I scraped that through. And you can, I don't know if you can see, try and catch it, this bit here where, if I bring it right up, yeah, there you go, you can see where the microbeads are. You can actually feel those, so you get a little bit of texture in the sand, which is nice. I'm going to get some sand because where we live in Ireland, where the family lives in Ireland, we've got quite a few beaches, and they do a lot of fishing and a lot of lobster pots, and the lobster pots often bring in tons of sand that they then either use to make sort of mounds on the beach, or they send back out. So I'm going to find out if I can have some of those, because I know you're not supposed to take sand and pebbles off beaches because of, you know, everything else. So I'm not going to do it without asking, and if I can't, then I'm just going to buy some craft sand just to make my beaches a bit more accurate. That's not the right word. Textural, I guess. You'll see the texture on it, won't you? So, right. I'm a little bit sad because obviously I messed up the white big time. So you've still got right at the top here some white bits that I'm not particularly happy about. But overall, I think this is going to be really good. I am quite excited. Trying to do this all with one hand. Because I pulled all the white and I was rubbing it off. Can you see the white has come up the sides? That's a real shame. Guess that'll be sanding off. I mean, there's white all over the edges as well. I was in a bit of a panic actually when that happened. I was genuinely in a bit of a panic because I thought I'd ruined everything. And so there's the back. What? How is it stuck on the back? This is going well, isn't it? Yeah, watch me unmould my mould that I can't unmould. How is it stuck on the back? Is it stuck to the shells? Okay, I don't know what is going on here. Well, that's quite a major frustration and disappointment. Don't really understand what's going on there. No, it's not stuck to the shells. I don't really understand what has made it stick. The only thing I can think is maybe where the shells have been heated up by the heat gun. I don't know. I did really use like the blowtorch for a very quick blow over once, maybe twice, which I used. Okay, I'm gonna come back to that one. That's a shame. But oh, I like this one. This one is very pretty. Oh, I hope this one doesn't get stuck because this is gorgeous. I don't know if it shows up, but you can see where there's two different layers of white, a top layer and a lower layer. That's gorgeous. I'm really liking these. And I'm struggling to get it off because the see the bottom comes off really easily, but where I rubbed the white, it's sort of gone up the sides and over the top of the edge, so I can't actually break the seal. There we go. Getting there. Oh, my fingers hurt. Okay, let's go this way then. We do it this way. There we go. Oh my gosh. If we ignore all the white, that's so bad. Look at how pretty that is. And you've got, if I put that there, so you've got the shells, the slight 3D of the shells, and I love there that you can see the shell through. So that just needs the edges tidied up. That is gorgeous. And again, the back is lovely. I don't know if I did the shells too low, because I put the shells in on the first one because I wanted them to be covered part ways. I don't know if I should have left them and sort of pushed them into the top layer. I'm still unsure about that one. Now this is the one that I was most excited about when I left it. So let's see. I mean, you can see it before I do because I'm deliberately not looking. And oh yeah! Oh, that is another one where you can definitely see the top layers and the bottom layers. Obviously, where it went horribly wrong, I haven't got it looking like wave upon wave upon wave, which was my initial plan. But the other half has convinced me that actually it just looks a bit more chaotic. So yeah, I know completely where I've gone wrong, and I have to say this stuff, this red, completely off camera, come on, there we go. This Resin opaque pigment is amazing. They say it's designed to do cells and lacing, and oh wow, just look at the definition in these bits, and here is one of my favourite bits. But even in the lower layers, I just I'm so excited by these. I'm sorry. You haven't really heard me get this excited previously because I've still been feeling quite rubbish. And don't get me wrong, I still feel quite crap. I've had a sore throat for 6 weeks. And let's not even talk about cold sores. But I love these. I wish they looked a bit more like waves. But, you know, the person that I'm gifting to doesn't know that this isn't exactly what I planned. So let's go with that. Right, let's get this gorgeous thing out. I don't get it because I was just about to say this one hasn't stuck at all, but it has got a little bit here. I don't know why. Because the little one didn't stick at all. And I would have thought if anything, the little one would have got stuck by the tiny amount of times I used the blowtorch, because there's less resin and less silicone. But oh, this is going to totally destroy the mould. Yeah, it's got a hole in it. That's going to have to go in the bin. Bugger! Or I wonder if I can fix it with some electrical tape maybe, and then I'll just have to sand the back. Because I am always going to use these coming up. I've got 2 sets, exactly the same moulds. So I was going to have one set where I use alcohol inks. In case it stains and everything else. I know in theory they shouldn't carry over to the next project, but I've just got that fear. And then one that I was going to use to do face up things like this, and a lot of my florals. But I mean, oh, I love that. And again, you've got the 3D with the you've got a bit of an edge here where I was doing it, but you can see the sort of the shell sticking out, and I love that they look half buried. This one I think is the most successful of the 3. I think it is the most successful of the 3. Let me try one more time to get this out, because I would like to get a picture of them all so you can see. So then what I will do, try and get this out while I'm talking to you. What I will do is I will sand the edges down on all of them. do a very tiny top coat if I need to, which I think because I wiped so much and I've got such jagged edges, I will need to do a very thin top coat, which is a shame because I like the white being right on the top, but I mean, it's going to be the world's thinnest top coat. And then I will figure out how I'm going to hang these beauties, whether I'm going to do like I did for my floral pieces. Let me grab one to show you. Like so, where I've put the thread, drilled 2 holes. I didn't drill them because my hands and shoulders are hurting, but I had 2 holes drilled, and then I'm just going to hang them. Alternatively, I do have little hooks to drill into the back so that you can't see the hanging bit. So I'm not sure which way around I'm going to do it yet, but I will put it on here and I'll come back at the very end when I've finished it all and I will show you them completed. So see you in a second. Okie dokie, so I have cleaned all the edges off, I removed all the sharp bits, I have I cut them all off and then sanded them down, and I've given the surface a sanding. You can probably see some of the scratch marks there. So I've done that on all 3 of them. So they're all nice and smooth now. I'm going to do a very thin, and I mean very thin, top coat. And then I'll be ready to drill holes in them tomorrow. So I'm not going to record me doing the top coat because you've seen me pour layers of resin before, but I will bring you back after I've got holes drilled and show you them finished off. Hey guys, so here is the oval beach scene up on the wall. Apologies if I take it down, give you a bit of a closer look. So I drilled the holes in, I do like the back, so that is the oval one. Hey guys, here is the circle beach themed piece. So this one's got a grey cord, and I will bring it down for you again. It's a very choppy sea, this one. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated that I didn't quite get the waves right, but considering what a disaster it was, I think they've turned out really well. And again, there is the back. And here is the rectangle beach scene. This one has got a sort of tan coloured table. And there is that one with the little shells on the bottom. And then the back. So yeah, thank you very much for, I'll give you a quick shot of my cat. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will have a wonderfully crafty day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.